Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Musings of a Modern Day Mystic. I'm Yasmin and this is a channel, a space to just share on the insights and reflectings that as mystics have over the ages, just on this life and all that feels inspiring and inspired in me now. So I invite you to settle in, to take a deep breath, to land in the here and now, in your body, in this moment, and meeting yourself where you're at and whatever your day is bringing you. I meet you here, as Rumi says, in the field beyond notions of right and wrong. There's a field, I'll meet you there. So here we are in that field, and I'm feeling to reflect on this nugget. What if being myself is enough? I'll repeat it. What if being myself is enough? So I'm increasingly coming into awareness that I've lived so much of my life asking, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? What should I be doing? What can I be doing? What am I capable of doing? And so the focus has been very much outward, and a lot of it has been on and remains often turning to what's wrong with the world and how can I fix it? Where is my help needed? How can I best apply myself? All these ways of looking outside myself, of seeing something lacking and thinking, that's what I'm here for. And then finding something else and going, no, maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I should be doing that. And so many times in the process, I've lost myself on the journey, and only realised that when I have spectacularly crashed and burned. So there's a story of that implosion. I'm at permaculture placement. I'm volunteering. I'm not being paid. I'm there of my own choice. I feel like this is a project that is deeply meaningful. It's about sustainable outcomes. I'm seeing in this so much potential for the world. I feel like, I've found something that's going to fix this world. This is it. This is how we should be living, could be living. And it was such a different way of living from what I'd been used to, from a busy pace of life, chasing money, making savings, disconnected from the world, rushing through the supermarket for my food, sorting things conveniently, and instead I'm in a place where I'm cooking meals communally. I'm eating a meal every day with a group of other people. I'm harvesting, planting, tending the plants that are going to ultimately feed us, feed those I've yet to meet and may never meet, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Some people stay a week. The choice is mine, and so I'm much more aware of what's going into the process of growing food, the elements, the unpredictability that can come with it all. And so I'm pouring my passion and my love and my energy into this project that feels like a labour of love, and feels like it's about something that I can align with, that I can get behind. And I'm really behind it. And I'm waking at 5 a.m, because it's hot. The New Zealand sun is hot. So I'm waking early to dig potatoes or do the hard making mulch. So I'm using a scythe, and that's hot, heavy work. So I'm trying to do stuff that's a bit more taxing earlier in the morning. That means I'm pushing myself to wake early. I'm not obliged to work any set hours. I've got voluntary hours that I can contribute in order to get free lodgings and food. But the choice is mine on when I fulfill those hours, by and large. And I choose to wake early, choose to go at it from the get-go, getting the sprinklers going, working out what might be best use of time that day, of energy, where to focus. And been here 4 weeks now, and starting to get familiar with the routine, and there's an added sense of responsibility, heaviness, a bit of stagnancy settling in, a bit of restlessness, things that when they're new and exciting, there's such a greater energy to really go at it for me, and that's kind of, the novelty is starting to wear off, and I'm feeling increasingly weighed down, stuck in that setting. And I'm surprised because it's been 4 weeks, I'm here by choice, I'm not under contract. Why am I feeling like this? And without realising it, I've come to put so much of myself into this project, like I've done with so many other jobs in the past, that I've lost sight of myself, of my own needs, of my own intentions, of why am I here? I've taken a flight to New Zealand having quit 3 jobs to live. I've got no set plans. I've got a year ahead of me. I've got some funds, some savings. I've worked a little bit more in New Zealand. And here I am, out of choice, still working hard, still pushing through long days, and thinking that I'm doing the right thing, that, this is it, I've found something I can really get my teeth into, that perhaps has got a future for me, whether at this project or in the UK. Maybe this is a skill I can bring back. Is this something that I can carry forward? And so my mind is very heavily involved in the process, and I don't realise where I'm at until that inner child kicks in, and I laugh as I say that, but I am sat in a treehouse. I'm cold. I'm just wearing my work clothes. Everything's in the house bus, which is across the yard. I don't think anyone knows about this treehouse. I'm hopeful they don't. And it's all come to a head. I'm at wit's end. I don't want anyone to know. I don't want anyone to think I'm weak. I don't want anyone to judge me. I don't want to give vent, voice, express how I'm feeling right now, because I wonder how that will come out. I like to be someone that's liked, that's kind, positive, upbeat, compassionate. And so, like so many times before, without realising that I've held so much in, I can't keep the cork in. So I'm by myself, wallowing like a petulant child in a treehouse. The wind's blowing and I'm wondering if it's even going to hold. No one knows I'm here. Probably not the wisest choice, and yet I cannot bring myself to go back across that yard. I don't want anyone to see me, and yet I'm trying to make a point. This paradox, I'm like a stubborn kid that, out of principle, I feel so resentful of all the responsibilities I've come to take on, and I've chosen to take these on, and yet I feel so incensed, so burned out, so fed up, that last button's been pushed. And so I've chosen to sit here rather than face people, because I'd rather not be around people when I feel like this. And I'm also kind of holding myself in a pattern I've so often done, where I'm thinking about all the things that I've done for this project, of how, even though people are telling me I'm doing well and all the rest of it, it's not enough. I feel empty, I feel drained, feel exhausted, frustrated, a bit stagnant. And I'm pretty damn miserable sat up here. I'm hungry. They're having a communal meal. And because I don't want to be around others like this, because something has really triggered me, I'd rather just keep to myself, not make eye contact with anyone, wait until everyone is gone, and then I can go on my own. So I've isolated myself, and I'm in this world of just whirling thoughts of self-critique, of judging others, of resenting others for things that I perceive they've placed upon me, when actually, when I really do stop to think about it, I've chosen to say yes to all these things. I struggle to say no. Anyone familiar with that? That boundary? What boundaries? I don't like what people might think of me if I say no, and all these other whirling thoughts and apprehensions and reservations. I don't want anyone to see me like this. What will they think if I give vent to it? How will I give vent to it? And so it's time to get the journal out and get things out of my head and onto paper. And there's like a big wake up, because I am burned out, just like I've been in so many work placements. And it's all because I'm giving of myself to the world, to a project, to some intention or goal beyond myself that I've come to believe is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm here to do. I can do this, I'm capable of this, especially if it's something that might be a bit of a challenge. Long been one for a challenge. And it takes burnout after burnout after burnout, and hiding from the world and becoming more and more isolated and falling into a deep dark pit all on my own, and keeping the world out, putting the barriers up, to realise I'm not happy. What's wrong? What's wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this? Like this should be the ideal placement. I've got no financial concerns because I've got free lodgings with the hours. And yet there's such discontentment. And I'm judging myself for having that. And so I'm getting it out onto paper, and I'm realising, yeah, I've put so much of myself into the project, there's been no me time. My sleep's been getting more and more interrupted. I've started to have that familiar old friend insomnia come to revisit, where I'm waking in the night, if I even get to sleep, thinking what needs doing at the project, or trying to push out, struggling to be with the thoughts of unease, discontent, frustration, all that is whirling around inside me that I'm choosing to ignore. It seems to be very loud at night. And this is familiar territory. I don't know if this is familiar territory to anyone else. And fast forward 5 years, maybe 6, and I'm living a very different life, and I'm constantly being reminded, constantly trying to remind myself not to fall into those old habits, those old patterns. And it's been radical to actually sit with this quote, this invite. What if being myself is enough? What if being in this world who I am is enough? My presence enough? What if, as I walk about through my day, being me is enough? Being how I am and who I am is enough? That the things that I do within the day are less important than how I'm feeling and being in that. And that's been a real shift. So I chose to write this on I've got a little altar that I spend the morning when I allow myself, when I don't perceive I'm too busy for it, to just sit, and I have a quote there, and the quote says, How much have I been today? Not how much have I done, because that's often how my mind decides to assess how effective, productive, successful, meaningful today has been. Instead, how much have I been? How much have I been present? How much have I brought myself to everything I've experienced today? And what aspects of myself have I brought to it? Have I felt joy today? There's a sign. Have I smiled today? Have I laughed today? Have I sang today? There's another wisdom tradition that says Indigenous people, the shaman, used to, whenever anyone came to them for anything, their questions would be along the lines of, when did you last sing? When did you last dance? When did you last sit in stillness by yourself? When did you last tell a story? Like really stripping life back and not going, what have you done? How do you feel about what you're doing? It's all about, when have you last been able to give yourself time to express yourself freely, unfiltered, to be with yourself, doing nothing, and yet everything is done, being fully present with yourself, giving yourself the time, the energy, the presence that you are willing to give to other people. Showing up for myself, when so often I'll listen to others, I'll go out of my way to do acts of kindness for others. How much am I giving so much of myself to the world that I'm going until there's nothing left for me and I'm depleted and on the floor, and I might need picking back up. I might need that help. And that's often when I push the world out, by the way. A pattern I'm trying to more consciously be aware of. To invite in help, and not even necessarily to know where that help's coming from. Literally to set the intention for the day, to be open to, I'm open to kindness today, or I'm open to laughter today, and just see where that comes, see how that comes. Trust it will. And that's been a journey and a game. It's made of life a bit more of a game when I start to go, what if I invite this into my day? What might come? And so I'm kind of on this journey at the minute where I'm transitioning from living in a very busy, frenetic, scattered, outward-facing, doing place, which is stereotypically, pattern-wise, archetypally, more masculine way of being and doing in the world, which seems to have been the norm. That seems to have been the world I grew up in. That's certainly what I learned around me, was people are gauged by their academic success, by what they do, by what they contribute, by what they earn, all these outward things. And I constantly felt like there was always something to be doing, jumping from one thing to the next, thinking, I will find it this time, this is the one. And then feeling so downhearted when that novelty has worn off, or when something's changed in me. And I don't know what, but all of a sudden this thing that I was so passionate about, I'm no longer enjoying in the same way. I'm no longer feeling enthused about, upbeat about, energized in doing. And I'm transitioning to more being aware of, how do I feel in this? How am I now in my body, in mind? What's going on for me? Allowing myself time to journal, to breathe, just a breath. You know, the toilet used to be a sanctuary for me. If I needed a bit of a pause, a break, I'd just go to the toilet. And sometimes I would just sit there, head in hands, and just breathe. Just to try and switch off the world, and usually my head is buried in my hands from the weight of it all. And instead going, what if I didn't have to hide in the toilet? What if I can recognise before I even get to the moment where I'm fried, I need a bit of me time, or my body is asking for something. Like the amount of times, I don't know about anyone else, but whether I've been working on a computer or I've been in a working environment that's quite fast-paced, quite energetic, quite, oh, we've got this and this and this and this and this. Just to allow myself, or to ask, can I have a drink? I need the toilet. To even notice I need them things. It's usually at the end of the day when a migraine is forming, or I'm narky, or whatever it happens to be. I'm going, oh, I haven't had a drink today. I haven't been to the toilet today. I haven't needed it. What's that about? I'm really starting to become more aware of what's going on in my inner world. And then bringing this all back to, so how have I been today? In all the experiences of the day, overall, how have I been? How have I felt in myself? Have I felt a sense of wonder, of curiosity, excitement, of unknown? Like, as a kid, we explore the world because it's new. You go to a new place. I see things differently when I'm in a new place or I'm on holiday. Don't know about you. And bringing myself back to, how have I felt that today? When did I last feel that? When did I last notice beauty? Did I notice beauty today? Did I stop to appreciate something that I thought was so beautiful I just wanted to notice? Whether it was a plant, or a bird song, or someone's smile, or someone opening the door for me. Someone listening to me, someone saying hi as if they genuinely are thrilled to see me. Have I noticed these things? Or have I got so preoccupied with the doing that I've rattled through the day with barely any way of actually experiencing it? Have I fallen into mundane patterns of going through the motions? Have I tried to speed through my day, thinking about how many things I can get through that day, constantly aware of the outstanding? And it's a real journey, and it continues to be. Because every day, by day's end, you can guarantee there is any number of things that could still be done. And having an evening free, where I don't then fill that evening with tidying up, with putting things away, folding clothes, doing the washing up. I seem to find any number of things to do rather than sit down. Just give myself 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Right. Sometimes I'll set the intention. I'll give myself some time. 7:30. I'm going to be in my room for some me time. Come 8 o'clock, 7:30, I can be doing any number of things still because I don't have any commitments to meet apart from for myself. But if I've got a Zoom meeting, if I've got something to attend, bet your bottom dollar I will be there on the dot or 5 minutes before. I'll have readied myself for it, prepared for myself for it, and I'm there. So I can show up when there's other people. Anyone else finding this? Anyone else feel familiar with this? You know, I find it easier a lot of the time to commit to things when I'm with other people that are committing to these things. And so I'm learning, I'm trying to remind myself, my beingness is enough. It's not about the doing. It's just coming back to myself and going, how do I feel in this moment? How does my body feel? The mind? Where are my emotions at right now? What might I actually be needing right now? Instead of it getting to a point where I'm feeling resentful, where I'm having an emotional outburst, how can I notice it when it's arising? And how able do I feel to give myself what I need? And don't get me wrong, it's not like I can I pause any time in the day and it's like, right, I could do with half an hour to myself now. Like, practically, it's meeting myself where I can in that moment. It might be that breath in that moment. It might be that sip of water. Whatever it happens to be, in some way, I can come back to how am I feeling, how am I being, what do I need? What's going on for me? Where is my mind trying to take me? And where do I actually need to be right now? What is calling my attention and presence in this moment? And it's a practice, and it's a way of living, and it's a journey. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm turning the gaze inward, and I'm going, who am I? Maybe not even asking why I am here, which has been such a part of the quest. Though it remains part of the journey, though I have so much love that I want, that I feel within me to share, and I'm glad to share that in so many different ways. There's been so much joy over the years in sharing the love, the patience, compassion, the gifts I've got within me. And I'm starting to go, what do I enjoy doing? When do I seem to shine brightest, to feel better in myself after day's end? I can tell you now, a day of technology can be rather different to a day around people or a day in nature. And it's just noticing that and going, right, where's the balance in life? Where's the balance in my gifts? Am I giving myself the opportunity in my life in general to be creative? To share things that I really enjoy? To delve into worlds that are really fascinating to me rather than what I think the world needs of me? What are my inherent gifts? And just starting from that place, inviting the answers to come to my awareness. Inviting myself to allow myself to change, to allow the outer roles, the jobs, the things that I bring my time and energy to, the people, allowing them to change and grow as I change and grow. Travelling New Zealand was a humbling experience on that front because I was going from placement to workplace to voluntary to hostels and couch surfing. It was different experience after different experience, and I was really realising that each one, even if it was a very similar project, was new in its own way. And I kind of came to a sense of completion. More and more I was feeling when it was time to move on. And it felt right. I didn't feel like I was grieving with each moving on. I hadn't invested in so much of myself in something that I felt had to stay in the way that I was doing in the past. The more and more I got used to moving on, the more and more I got comfortable with the unknown, with the unfamiliar, with new people, new places, new experiences for myself. Being with that discomfort of not knowing, allowing the questions to hang, to have the who am I as a never-ending question. In any moment that's going to shift and change. So who am I now? What does it most serve me to be aware of now? And living from that place. And that feels like worlds away from where I've been in the whirlwinds of doing. And so that's my invite to you today, to just invite yourself to pause, to put your hand on your heart, to take a deep breath. Perhaps to stand in front of a mirror, to look yourself in the eye and just say, who am I? And to look into that reflection, to look deep into those eyes and know I am enough. Exactly as I am in this moment, in any hot mess, in any emotional waves and storms, in any state. Right here, right now, I am enough. I allow myself to simply be myself now. So, I welcome any comments, reflections, experiences, stories. I love hearing and sharing stories in ways that I always learn through anyone's story and through the telling of new stories and stories that I've long told in new ways, because everyone brings out something different in that story. So feel free to like, to subscribe, to share, to build a community where we share insights, share reflections, share life's struggles, its highs, its lows, twists and turns, and really meet ourselves from a place of compassion, turning that gaze inward and allowing ourselves to be, just to be. And so it is. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be with you again very shortly for the next podcast episode. Take care. Namaste.